In this video, I'll be talking about the appendicular skeleton, which has to do with the appendages, the pelvic pectoral girdle, and the pelvic girdle. Alright, so first off, I'll talk about the pectoral girdle. The pectoral girdle includes the clavicle and the scapula, which is right here at the back. Alright, the clavicle is this bone right here. The acromial end of the clavicle goes right out here to the end, and then we have the sternal portion which goes right in to the sternum anteriorly to the body. All right. After that, we'll speak about the scapula. All right. So the scapula, like I said, is this bone, this flat bone right here in the back. For the clavicle, for the scapula, we have the coracoid process, which is this bone that comes out right here. This bone right here, that's the coracoid process. After that, I'll mention the subscapular, the glenoid cavity actually, which is right under here, and that's where the humerus articulates with the scapula. That's right under here. That's the glenoid cavity, and that plays a role in the function of the joint, right? The next part I'll speak about is the acromion, again, which it's right out here towards the tip, right out towards the tip of the clavicle. After the acromion is the supraspinous fossa, which is towards the back, right here on the scapula. After that is the infraspinous fossa, which is this smooth part right here. The sternoclavicular joint is where the clavicle articulates with the sternum, so that's right in here. So the clavicle comes in and meets up with the sternum right there. After that, we'll move on to the arm. All right, so this long bone right here is the humerus. This is the humerus right here. The first part of speaker is the head. The head of the humerus is right up here at the top, and that's what articulates with the glenoid cavity of the scapula. Next up in the humerus is the greater tubercle, which is right out here towards the tip. The next part is the lesser tubercle, which comes around towards the front. After the lesser is the deltoid tuberosity, which is on the side of the humerus, so that's all the way out to here. After the deltoid, I'll speak about the medial epicondyle, which is right down here on the tip, and it's medial because it's part going in towards the body, so that's why that is medial, right? The next part is the capitulum, which articulates with the head of the radius, so that's right down here, right? The articulum, the capitulum, I should say, which articulates with the head of the radius. The next part of the humerus is the trochlea, which articulates with the notch of the humerus. So that's right down here, the notch of the ulna, I should say. That's right. The ulna is this bone, this long bone right here. And the trochlea articulates from right down here, from the humerus to the ulna. The next part I'm going to is the forearm. So in the forearm, we're going to talk about the two bones. We have the ulna on this side, and then we have the radius on this side. All right, so then we have the olecranon. The olecranon is the ball of the ulna, so that's the top part. Turn it around. It's the entire top part up there. That is the ball, the olecranon. The next part is the styloid process. The styloid process goes down, right down here to the tip, and that's where it meets up, with the wrist, right? So on the radius, we'll speak about the head, which is the top part up here. That's the head of the radius. The radial tuberosity is this little bump that's right in here. That's the radial tuberosity right there. And then we have the styloid process, which is all the way down at the end. All the way down at the end. After that, I will get into the carpus, which is down here by the hand. So in the carpus, we will speak about the scaphoid, lunate, triquetral, and pisiform. So the scaphoid is this one that's right in here, the middle one. The lunate comes out to here at the end. We have the triquetral, which is straight down next to the lunate, and the pisiform, which would be next to the triquetral. In the distal row, that goes further down, we'll speak about the trapezium. The trapezium is the bone that articulates with the thumb. And next to the trapezium, we have the trapezoid, which is the next small bone that's right here. After trapezium, we have the capitate, which is the one in the middle, and then the hamate, which is the one right at the end. Okay, so we know that the proximal row of the carpal bones, so the proximal row, which is top one, of the carpal bones articulates with the distal end of the radius, and that's what forms the wrist. Also, we know the trapezium, like I said before, articulates with the thumb. The next thing I'll get into is the pelvic girdle. So then I'll speak about the coxal bones. We have the ilium, we have the ischium, which is down here, and we have the pubis, which is down here. So first I'll talk about after that I'll go into the leg, which is the, no, that's not true. All right, I'll speak about the acetabellum. The acetabellum is a part that articulates with the femur. So that comes right down to here. And you know the femur would go in right here. All right, so then we'll talk about the pubic symphysis, which is this part right in here. And then we have the obturator foramen, which is this hole right here. And that's where our femur would sit into. All right, next up we have the iliac crest. The iliac crest is the edge right here. That's our iliac crest. And then we have our anterior superior iliac spine, which comes down to right about here. After that, we have the iliac fossa, which is this area right here. And then we have the greater sciatic notch. Greater sciatic notch, which is somewhere down here. Next, we have the iliac spine, which is this pointy part right down here at the end. And then the ischial tuberosity, which is the tip right out here. All right, so then we'll get into the femur. The head of the femur is this part right here. That is the head of our femur, and that's what plays a part in the joint movement of the femur. The next part we'll talk about is the greater trochanter, which is the outer side right here of the femur. And then we'll speak about the medial epicondyle. The medial epicondyle is the part that goes in towards the body. So that's this part right here. And then we have the lateral epicondyle, which is the part that goes away from the body, which is the part on the outside. All right, so now we'll go down to our tibia and our fibula. So the tibia, we know, is a bigger bone that's medial. And then the fibula is this one that's out here that goes laterally, right? So for the tibia, the medial and lateral condyles are the two ends. So this right here would be medial and this would be lateral because it goes out. And then we have the medial malleolus, which is the notch right here that goes where the ankle bone right here articulates with the tibia. And then we'll go into the fibula. The fibula's head is right up here at the top, right here, and it kind of articulates with the tibia a little bit. Next we'll go into the tarsus, which is done by the foot, right? So in the tarsus we have the talus, which articulates right down here with the tibia and the fibula, and that plays a role in the movement of our ankle. All right, so next after that I'll go into the calcaneus, which is the heel right here. After the calcaneus, we'll go into the cuboid. The cuboid bone is this bone that's right down here. After the cuboid bone, I'll go into the navicular bone, which is this big bone that's right here. After that bone, I will talk about the medial, intermediate, and lateral cuneiform bones, which are these three bones. So this is medial, this one right here. This would be intermediate, and this one would be the lateral one because that's further away from the midline, that's closer to this side. All right, after that I'll talk about the metatarsus. The metatarsus would be this part right here. This part right here of the phalanges. After that, this right here at the end, that's our phalanges down here, metatarsus, phalanges. And then we'll talk about the hallux. And we know the hallux down here is our great toe or our big toe. Also, the talus, I should have said from before, articulates with the tibia, the fibula. It articulates with the navicular bone that's down here. It also articulates with the calcaneus, which is the heel, and that's what, plays a major role in the movements of our ankles. That concludes the video.